Thank you, Mr. Tariq, and thank you, Gopi, for that extensive introduction. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I can see a few ladies here. So, ladies and gentlemen, uh, please knock off whatever Gopi said just now. Accept me as I am, as you see me today morning. Do not go by what Gopi said, though I don't mean to say that Gopi did not say anything but the truth, but I don't want Gopi's words clouding your thoughts. I want you to please take me in as you see me in now with your open thoughts and open mind. I, as Gopi said, have more than 3 decades of experience, work experience, and I'll just take you through. I don't want to waste time. I'll take you through where I have given my timelines in the presentation. I'll just tell you briefly. I would like to take you through the paper industry, and while talking you through the paper industry in my PowerPoint presentation, I will also mention opportunities that are available in this industry. And I have 2 videos to show you. Both these videos pertain to TNPL, the activities that we are doing at TNPL with regards to what sort of paper we are making, and the social responsibility that this company has towards the environment. And also, I will be mentioning a little brief on what TNPL does. TNPL is a public sector undertaking, a government of Tamil Nadu enterprise. 35% is owned by the government of Tamil Nadu. Hence, it is headed by senior IS officers. Industry Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu, is the chairman for Tamil Nadu Newsprint and Papers Limited, always is, and current Industry Secretary, Thiru Muruganandam IAS, is the chairman. And we have a full-time managing director in Mr. S. Shivashanmugaraja, who is also an IS officer. And these 2 people head this organization, and there is a professional team. And I would proudly say that this is one of the public sector enterprises which is profitable. I would say this is a jewel in the crown of the government of Tamil Nadu. Now, I would like to move on to the presentation. Mr. Tariq, is it okay?
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Another few minutes, I think maybe about 10-15 minutes, I'll take in running you through this presentation. In case you have any doubts, I would request you all to raise it after the presentation, please. Thank you. I'm going to talk about the Indian paper industry today, wherein I have about 20 years of experience out of the 3.2 decades, which Gopi mentioned. And my personal timelines before I start off, I completed my chemical engineering from Annamalai University in 1984 to 88. And then my first job was with Pentesia Chemicals Kadalur, an Asian Paints group company where we manufactured pentaerythritol. It continues to manufacture the same chemical there. And then I moved on to Sanmar Engineering, where I was in the water treatment chemicals division. Water treatment chemicals division was with the technology transfer of Zach-Leben in Germany. And world over, Zach-Leben was taken over by Lurgi. So this division could not exist per se in India under Sanmar. So we were all drafted into other companies of Sanmar Engineering. I got drafted into Durametallic, which is in today's context, it's called Flowserve Sanmar, where they manufacture mechanical seals. And then moved on to Saudi Arabia for a couple of years. I was there with Al Zamil Heavy Industries, again related to the same industry, flow measurement equipments. That's what I was handling there. Came back and rejoined Sanmar in the year 96. I was in their caustic chlor division, handling caustic soda, liquid bromine, hydrochloric acid, bleach liquor, and all that. And 2000 onwards, I've been in the paper industry. I joined the paper industry in JK Paper Limited as a regional manager, Southern region. And then 2007, I joined Serval Engineering in Karamadai, one of the best phases of my life, about 6 or 7 months, though it was a very short stint. Driving every day from Coimbatore, looking at the Blue Mountains, and then going to Karamadai was an experience. Though I got sick and tired of it very soon, I left the company and then moved on and was working in Garnet Specialty Paper based out of Vapi and UK. I was shuttling a lot between Europe and India at that point in time. And 2013, I was working with Andhra Pradesh Paper Mills, which was taken over by International Paper for a short while. That was a year. And joined TNPL in the year 2015. And I'm here in TNPL from 2015. That's about my brief history and the topics being covered today, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Paper manufacturing process, different kinds of paper, different types of paper, India per capita consumption of paper, future of the Indian paper industry, to my knowledge, myths and realities. I would delve a lot into this and the social farm forestry schemes which are being practiced by all Indian paper mills today. So let's go on straight to the paper manufacturing process. Paper manufacturing process, as all of you know, paper's manufactured base raw material is wood. So the wood has to be prepared and then it has to be pulped. And after pulping, a lot of chemicals are used during the pulping process. Then the chemical has to be recovered. And then the resultant pulp has to be bleached. And then the bleached pulp goes into paper making. So that's a process. Now, going on to wood preparation, majorly two types of wood are used for paper making process. One is called the soft wood, which basically, as we call the trees, the names, the botanical names, I don't know. The common names are pine, fir, cedar, etc. And the hardwood, which are called acacia, aspen, birch, eucalyptus, mahogany, maple, etc. Softwood is grown majorly in the Baltic region and in North America and China. So India is importing softwood at this moment in time, and any paper mill, including ITC, including Century Paper Mill, JK Paper Mill, and TNPL, have to import softwood. And hardwood is grown in India. Hardwood is grown everywhere. And though to a small extent we have bamboo in the Northeast, we don't use bamboo to that extent because of the transportation cost involved bringing it down south. Some of the species are subabul, eucalyptus, casuarina. All these grades you can see as you drive down any part of the country. And the wood is basically cut. It is debarked. The bark is removed, chipped, and then taken to the pulp mill for further processing. Pulping is basically a chemical process. As we all know, there is a lot of lignin which holds the fiber together in the wood, in the tree. So that lignin has to be removed. So it's a process of separating the fiber from unusable fraction of the wood, which is called the lignin. And anything in the wood that does not contribute to the strength properties uh, to the fiber is removed in this particular process. Softwood yields long and strong fibers. In terms of long, when you say it is 2 to 4 millimeters, that's the length of the softwood fiber, and it's very, very strong. If we say that is long, then what is short? Hardwood yields short and weak fibers, typically half a millimeter to 1.5 millimeter. So that's the difference between a hardwood and a softwood. Wood chips are then digested with steam at specific temperatures to separate the fibers and partially dissolve the lignin and other extractive material there. Large pulp and paper mills, integrated pulp and paper mills, we call them, use continuous digester processes where there's a constant feed of chips and intermittent addition of liquor. In today's context, I will take you through a schematic diagram also. These processes are called the soda recovery process, wherein it's a continuous process and very little leakage there. So the white liquor which is being used there is a strong alkaline solution, mainly sodium hydroxide, which is caustic soda. Consequent to the digestion process, the cooked pulp is uh, put into a pressure vessel where steam and volatile materials are basically added, and then the cooked pulp is returned to the chemical recovery cycle. If you can see here, this is the schematic diagram I was talking about. Wood rounded and sawmill chips in the west. In the west, when I say the west, it's the western regions. In the west, there's a lot of sawmill chips which gets into paper making, the leftover of the sawmills, and it gets into the wood handling where it is debarked if bark is there, and then it goes on to the cooking process where after the cooking process the knots are removed and then recycled back again. Goes on to the brown stock washing, and at this point in time in the cooking process, if you can see, there's a line joining from the green liquor causticizing a white liquor, which is then put into the cooking process. And this white liquor is oxidized in between and then taken to the oxygen delignification stage, which is the third stage, sorry, the fourth stage, post stock washing, and then we go to the post oxygen washing, and then bleaching, and then pulp drying. In all this process, we have a soda recovery process. This is called. Fuel oil is used for the bark boilers, and then where steam is generated, it goes on to the turbine, and electrical power and the process steam are two outputs. So we generate our own power. So we are the pulp and paper industry is very highly consuming water and power. Basically, these are the two components which we consume a lot. And power we generate our own selves, and water, nature is very kind to the paper mills. I'll take you through them, and we use a lot of water from the streams. In the previous time, during the conception time or so, Mr. Moses will be able to tell us water consumption was as high as 100 kl per liter, 100 kl per ton of pulp, which is currently it is at 38 kl. There's a lot of water conservation methods which have been taken and which are implemented. So I'll move on, gentlemen. The bleaching process, it's a process of treating the fibers with chemicals to increase the brightness of the fiber. The residual lignin in the pulp imparts color to the pulp. Even though we remove a lot of lignin, but there are some parts of lignin which are left over, which imparts color to the pulp. Unless this is removed, it continues to darken with age. We would all seen our certificates getting yellowed. These are all common terms which is there in our daily life. We remove the lignin by bleaching, which gives higher brightness to the paper and then leads to a more durable and then stable paper, which means it doesn't color with age. Various chemicals have been used for bleaching. Bleach liquor, it's basically called bleach liquor, which is calcium hypochlorite, liquid chlorine, and then more recently hydrogen peroxide. Currently only hydrogen peroxide is being used. In layman terms, basically the fabric whiteners we do in our people, we use it in our daily life. Vanish or Robin Blue or Ala, they basically used to whiten the fabric. The same thing happens here. We bleach the fabric, we bleach the pulp. Then this pulp is made into a slurry. A lot of water is added to it, wherein the consistency is 1% pulp and then 99% water. And this is sent through a set of centric cleaners and refiners to remove any impending impurities before it's moved on to the paper making process. Getting on to the paper making process. Before we do this paper making process, I think I will request Mr. Tariq Kamal to play the video on TNPL. Can we have the video, Mr. Tariq, 2.3, the first video, please?
Sure, Kasi. You may have to kindly pause or stop the sharing so that I can share the video.
Yeah, I'm stopping the share.
Yeah, let me start off.
Yeah.
Is this the one?
Yes, please.
Ever since the dawn of mankind, knowledge has been celebrated and cherished, and we have gone to great extents to store and pass on knowledge to the next generation. From the Stone Age, when communication was done through cave paintings, to the rishis and siddhas of ancient India who used leaves known as Olechuvadis, the Egyptians with papyrus, the scrolls of the Greeks, the Chinese invention of paper using hemp, till the present electronic age with hard drives and supercomputers, the whole world has been obsessed with preserving and passing on knowledge. Communication, education, literature, journalism, certification, currency, and all the other symbols and practices of a maturing, advanced, and elite society have one thing in common: paper. With such technological developments in the present digital climate, why do we still give such prominence to paper? The answer is simple. Paper stands as an authenticity for us from birth till death. We often forget the hardships of the people behind paper, the toll it takes on the environment and its ramifications. Are we aware that the same person who feeds us is also the same person who provides us with paper? Our farmers, they feed our stomach and help to feed our knowledge. The toils of farmers have no bound in helping the paper industry churn out thousands of tons of paper every year. This is where we at the Tamil Nadu Newsprint and Papers Limited persevere to help the farmers, the environment, and the society as a whole, an effort that has been authenticated by the government of Tamil Nadu when it pronounced the paper mill one among the most environmentally compliant paper mills in the world. It started production in 1984 with a capacity of 90,000 metric tons, utilizing bagasse as primary raw material, thereby turning waste into wealth. TNPL has now increased production to an awe-inspiring 400,000 metric tons of paper and 200,000 metric tons of paper boards, utilizing 60% of bagasse, 30% self-grown pulpwood, and 10% recycled paper.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tariq. Now, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, you would have had a brief glimpse about what we do and how we started off in the year 1984 with 90,000 tons of capacity. At that point in time, as Mr. Moses mentioned earlier, this paper mill was conceived to manufacture newsprint. But then, over a period of time, when newsprint became unviable to be produced in India, with a lot of imports coming in, we moved to making writing and printing grades of paper, which we continue to do today. We have 3 paper machines. The plant initially was conceived near Karur in a place called Kagitapuram, where even today it functions. And then where this is a location where we have 3 paper machines. And then we have recently, in the year 2016, commissioned another mill in another place which is very close to Trichy in the Manapare district, the village called Mondipatti, where we manufacture packaging grades of paper. So the paper making, how is paper made? The bleached pulp, as we saw earlier, with a concentration of 1:99% water, is stored in a chest, and then it is moved on to the paper machine through a head box. It is a head box through which this pulp slurry flows onto wire section, we call it, a wire part. It's delivered into a continuously moving fabric, which is called the wire. And then the consistency here, the consistency here is about 0.5 to 1. And then water is drained by gravity, vacuum, and mechanized vibration. And all these things happen simultaneously and over a fast moving wire table. And all this water is recycled, ladies and gentlemen. The next section, it's called the press section. Nothing but, as the word press denotes, two cylinders are there, and the fiber, there's a cloth, a fabric moving around between the two cylinders, and this paper slurry, which is slightly thickened, moves through this, and then it is pressed by both these cylinders to again dewater. And from here on, it moves to the drying section, where steam heated drying cylinders help in evaporating the remaining water. And then we have the size press, wherein we use a lot of sizing chemicals, which is basically a starch solution. This starch solution, why is it applied after the drying process? It's done basically because once the fibers are formed, the paper is formed, and then the paper needs to be printed, or it needs to undergo different processes. And at that point in time, as you know, paper is hygroscopic. It basically picks up a lot of water. Along with water, water is a part of a system wherein printing is also using water as a medium. So it should not impart, or it should not have any issues in printing. So we use a lot of starch here, which will resist to a certain extent water and the ink particles during the offset printing process. At the same time, it enables the paper to receive toners and liquid inks during the digital printing process. And then this finally, after the size press, it's again passed through a second set of dryers called post dryers, basically steam heated drying cylinders, where it is removed. And then the final stage, wherein the water or the moisture is about 6%, then it is fit enough to be converted into paper. So it's taken on to a pop reel. We call it a pop reel, which is the final stage in the paper making process. This diagram briefly will denote from where to where the paper comes in, from the pine wood thinnings into debug drums to chippers to thermomechanical refining equipments, onto paper making machines to manufacture paper. And then it is, after the paper is manufactured, it is put to use. Once it is used, it is again discarded by general public. So it is collected from the curbside, and after collection, it goes through a de-inking process. And after de-inking process, it is then cleaned, and then a final screening is done, and again it goes on to the same cycle. So it goes on getting recycled again and again, till such time that strength is there and the fiber length doesn't get deteriorated beyond or below that 0.5 mm. Different types of paper. Indian paper mills produce the following grades of paper, though the kinds of paper are different elsewhere in the world. Indian paper mills still produce newsprint paper. We produce writing and printing grades of paper, coated paper, packaging paper, specialty paper. There are many other grades. Before I take you through all these processes, I would like to take you through the terminology, general terminology, which is used in the paper industry. Substance, which is called the weight in grams. It's called grams per square meter. In short terms, it's called GSM. Anybody who talks about the paper or who's in the paper industry will normally feel the paper like this in between his index and the thumb finger to tell you what sort of thickness the paper is. So all that we need to do is cut out a small square of 1 meter by 1 meter and put it in a weighing scale. And then that will give you the weight, which is a grams per square meter. Up to 150 grams, it's called paper. Beyond 150 grams, it's called board. That's the only difference between paper and board, gentlemen. Board, again, we have multi-layers and all that. Paper is basically a single layer. And up to 150 GSM, it's called paper. Beyond 160 GSM, it's called board. White grades are bleached. Basically, we saw the bleaching process. Some of the white grades are newsprint, writing and printing paper, coated paper. FBB is folding box boards. Then SBS is solid bleach sulfate boards, and the cup stock, which is used to making paper cups. The brown grades are basically the unbleached ones. The bleaching process is not there. So the unbleached ones is craft. Craft is a word For strength, a German or a Spanish word, it means strength. So which is why craft is used. Carton boxes, mainly used for packaging. And specialty paper, which has a lot of post-production applications and then processes depending on the application. That's called specialty paper. For example, your Bible printing paper, it's very thin, and it's very strong. It needs to be printed on both sides, so it has to be opaque. What is printed on one side should not interfere when you read the other side. Similarly, when you open a medicine box, there is a leaflet inside the medicine box, which is of multi-fold. There are so many things which are folded inside, and then it's a very small piece of paper. So it has to be of lower GSM. So all these things are special papers, decor papers, wallpapers. There are many things. And the other post-production applications, post-production things, processes which go on to paper are coloring the paper, embossing it, debossing it, lacquering it, varnishing it, depending on application. You have your diaries. People use a lot of diaries again today. The covers of the diaries, they have a lot of PVC paper on it, and then you have your names imprinted on them. You have individual names imprinted on them. There are a lot of applications. So all these are processes: debossing, embossing, lacquering. Let's talk about newsprint. Newsprint. Why? Why is it called newsprint? It's used. The name itself signifies it's used for printing newspaper. The purpose is to convey the happenings of the day to a large audience at the earliest. Normally, it's printed late night and it's delivered early in the morning. And today it's changed. There are dailies. There are which come in the morning. Then there is a paper coming in the midday. Then there are evening. Each one works according to its own convenient timelines. There are many sides in a newsprint paper, and it carries not only printed matter, it carries also pictures, advertisements, and then it is colored, it is black and white. So it should be light to carry, so the GSM is lower, and at the same time it should be enough to, as I was mentioning earlier, it should not interfere with your reading process. In terms of paper terminology, GSM, it's a standard is 45 to 47, which is very thin. Opacity was I was talking about earlier, same thing. Writing and printing paper, as the name implies, it is used for writing as well as printing. Education, major industry which uses this is the education industry, where notebooks are manufactured, diaries and pads are manufactured. Printing, books, weeklies, fortnightlies, a lot of other applications, as you can see here. And the substance here varies depending on the applications. As I was mentioning earlier, Bible printing, and then medicine inserts, dictionaries, these are all very thin paper. And then medical inserts, so it must be printed in many languages and to be accommodated in a very small space. For notebooks, it's ideally 50 and above GSM. And one thing which is caught on now is we can see a lot of printing on our t-shirts, on cups, on mugs and all that. That process is called sublimation. Image is transferred from paper to fabric by a heat transfer process. Release paper, pre-gummed sheets. You have labels. You go to a laboratory for giving your blood sample or anything like that. They immediately pick out a label and then stick it on that tube. So that's again a release paper, which is a pre-gum sheet. Carbonless paper, which has four colors: white, pink, blue, and yellow. And then thermal paper, which is more used today, billing, ATM printouts, and all this. Some of the images of writing and printing papers, your notepads and all that. These are the thermal rolls, and these are all magazines. And finally, these are all used for making the outer packing. Coated paper, or the art paper as they are fondly called, because they're used for printing very colored applications. This is coated with clay, which is why it's called coated paper. And why do we coat it with clay? To increase the opacity, smoothness, and the printability. That's why we coat it with clay. It's nothing but calcium carbonate, and it is cheaper than fiber, ladies and gentlemen. This can be coated on either side or on one side. Some of the examples are brochures, catalogs, magazines, covers, inserts, point of sale, advertisements, coasters, coffee table books and all that. This is how a coated paper looks, a very shiny piece of paper. It shines on both sides. Some of the color coated papers also. You can add color to the clay when you're coating it, so you get color coating also. Packaging paper, any product that needs to be packaged to be sold. So that particular product, all of us, the common thing that we can relate to is the toothpaste early in the morning. So we have a plastic tube inside a mono carton, and then the tube is made out of flexible packaging, LDPE or HDPE, low density polyethylene, high density polyethylene, which are basically plastics. And then the mono carton is a packaging paper or board. Currently, grayback is being used there. And these are some of the varieties of packaging paper and board. We have two varieties. One is recycled, the other one is virgin. Recycled is as the name suggests, it is recycled many times. So it's called recycled. It's used, reused, go on, reused till such time the fiber is having some strength. We have two grades here, which is called the grayback and the whiteback. The grayback, the back side is gray and the top side is white. The whiteback, the back side is white and the top side is also white. And the virgin grades are the grades which are manufactured from pulp. So they are the first ones, so which is why it's called the virgin grades. We have two varieties here, folding box board and the solid bleach sulfate boards. And we have the browns also, which is the craft paper and board. Virgin craft is also there, which is manufactured first from wood. So which is why it's called virgin craft, brown and bleached, which can be used for shopping bags and then covers and all that. Like this, some of the images here. Recycled, colored. You can see some of these bags here. In today's application, all this is very, very, very common. You have sling bags also made out of craft paper, very strong craft paper. And we all know this with e-commerce picking up, all these things are coming up to a lot of applications. Now coming on to corrugated box, there could be a lot of people in the corrugated box making industry here. Fluting medium was what we generally call them, 12 to 16 burst factor or bursting index as they are called worldwide. In India, it's called burst factor. And then we have the fluting liners, which are slightly stronger than the fluting medium, 25 burst factor and above. And we have different plies. All these things are put together. The fluting medium is the one which goes inside, and then it is converted into those kind of shapes you see in between. That adds more strength. The fluting liner is the one which is on top and bottom, which totally adds. So the number of plies, it's called the 3 ply or the 4 ply or the multiple plies. The box is designed based on the mass it has to carry. You can see in today's life, you can see a lot of FMCG items being packed up. The washing machines or the refrigerators being packed in cartons like this, they need to be very strong enough to carry all this. And specialty paper, anything from apart from what we have seen here is called specialty paper. Some examples are mottle paper, crepe paper, decor paper, anti-skid paper, barrier coated paper, wet strength paper, a lot of applications. Some of the mills, if anybody is interested, you can look at the websites of these mills. They're very, very slow paper making processes. They make some of the best papers. Anybody who's into drawing and art can look at the Cuthbert's mill in UK, St. Cuthbert's mill in UK. They make one of the finest art papers, paper which is used for drawing. Artists use them. And about the paper industry worldwide, this has been one of the largest industries worldwide, and the industry has been dominated by the North American and the North European, primarily because of the wood. As I was telling you earlier, the softwood is available in the Baltic region as well as in the Americas, so it's there. And then the East Asian companies, Indonesians had a lot of wood available to them, so they were the ones who were dominating this industry. Some of the names you would have all heard about: Georgia Pacific, Kimberly-Clark. You can read them. There are a lot of names there. Worldwide production of paper and board is about 490 million tons, and this industry has a lot of opportunities, ladies and gentlemen. As we saw in the presentation earlier, a lot of opportunities are there. You may be in the you may be in any industry. You may be in the chemical industry. You may be in the mechanical industry. You may have a lot of opportunities. Chemical digesters, the turbines. You have a lot of opportunities for the cables. Any new mill coming up, you have a lot of opportunities for cabling work. You have a lot of opportunities for the aluminum usage, the trays which carry the cables. And then you have a lot of water being used in this industry. So water conservation, zero liquid discharge, we talk about water treatment. A lot of chemicals are being used, which are used as filling agents. Anybody in the chemical industry can use them, can make use of all these things. And the valves, the mechanical seals, any, you name it, you name any engineering equipment, they have applications in the pulp and paper industry. And another thing which I would like to mention, ladies and gentlemen, as I was telling you earlier, Tamil Nadu Newsprint and Papers Limited is a government of Tamil Nadu enterprise. And this, being a Tamil Nadu government enterprise, is subject to CAG audit. So we have certain processes where we have to follow. So any opportunities which come by for our ABN members, you'll have to follow the newspapers where advertisements are being given, or you can look at the websites, our TNPL website, where things come up, and then you participate in them, and then you win those tenders. It's basically the tender process which goes through, and we follow the L1 process. So, but why I said this was, there are other industries, other paper mills who are located in Tamil Nadu. There's a big cluster in the Coimbatore segment, Pollachi area. There's a big cluster there. Then we have one of our alumni who runs a paper mill, Cholan paper mill, and there are many such paper mills. And right from these kind of equipments, there is also need for software, end-to-end application, right from raw material to finished product. We need to really understand what sort of material goes inside, how much material goes inside, what sort of mix goes inside, so what's the costing of that. So for all this, today software is required. So most of us work on ERP platforms, so which is again very required for a paper industry. Apart from that, there is something called a machine decal, where, as I said, the pope reel, there is a certain distance in the pope reel. That pope reel has to be filled up. So not everybody gives a full pope reel order. There could be an order for half a ton, 1 ton. There could be orders for standard SKUs, which the mill produces. So SKUs are basically stock keeping units. So we need to look at all these things and then have a decal matching software. So a lot of opportunities are there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the most important or the most interesting slide, as far as I'm concerned, is the next one, international per capita consumption. I would request, ladies and gentlemen, to take a few minutes to see the slide. If you look at it, the world, continent-wise, the world is at 55 kgs per capita consumption. Asia is at 45. And if you come to the next one, emerging countries, India is at 13. Just because of India being at 13 or 14 kgs per person as a per capita consumption of paper, there is a lot of headroom for growth here. And why is it that India is lagging behind? Basically, India is a temperate climate. We use a lot of water, a natural resource. We use a lot of water in our daily, in our daily usage, daily life, as a result of which our per capita consumption is pretty low. And packaging also is growing very fast, and the literacy rate also determines consumption of paper. So overall, as Gopi was telling earlier, this industry is not a sunset industry. We have a lot of headroom for growth, and we are going forward. We will definitely have a lot of headroom for growth. I'll move on. If in case somebody requires to see this sometime later, I will bring it back again. Indian paper industry, a small comparison to the worldwide paper industry. In 1995, the US paper industry witnessed challenging times, and then they all merged, and after consolidation, we had top four players contributing to 50%. In Indonesia, top two players contribute to 60%. In India, top three players account for the total share, which is about 9%, which is what I was talking about, economies of scale, which is very, very large in the developed nations. People may not agree with me, ladies and gentlemen. This is only my view. This table talks about the large paper mills in India. ITC, as you all know, Indian Tobacco Company, is located in the state of in the new state of Telangana. Then we have TNPL, and then we have JK Paper Mill. We have IP APPM, which is currently called Andhra Paper. It was earlier Andhra Pradesh Paper Mill, taken over by International Paper, and then today it is called Andhra Paper. And then we have Seshasai Paper and Boards. We have HPC, Hindustan Paper Corporation, which was available in the Northeast. That is not functional anymore. Gentlemen, I think somebody's playing. I don't know how I'm getting these images on the screen.
I'm not sure. Maybe if you can kindly stop the share and share it again.
Sure.
Vanish.
Yeah.
It's not happening by any of the participants.
Okay. I'm sharing it again.
Yeah. These are the few blessings of the online platform.
Yeah. So as you see, HPC is closed. HPC was the only mill in Assam, in Kachar, and we had one in Kerala. That is also Hindustan Paper Corporation. That is also shut down. And we have Century Paper, Orient, Star, Trident, Kanna, Balarpur. Balarpur was was the leader in the paper industry with an installed capacity of 9 lakh tons, which they still have, but they're not running the mill to that extent because of various other issues that they faced. Oh, sorry. Sorry for that glitch. So this is where I've plotted these major mills in the map of India, and if you see, most of them are located in central or in the southern part of the India of the country, and most of them are located close to river banks. If you see Seshasai and TNPL, they're located on the river banks of the Kaveri. West Coast Paper Mill in Dandeli is located on the river banks of River Kali in Uttar Kannada. Then we have Andhra Paper, today's Andhra Paper, which is located bang on the rivers of River Godavari, ITC on the Musi River, JK on the Tapi River in Gujarat in Songad, Imami on the banks of River Hooghly, Orient Paper on the banks of River Sone. And all these paper mills are located near the rivers, basically because of the water needs that the mills have. Well, gentlemen, this is one more interesting topic that I come to, myths and realities of the paper industry. All of us have been thinking that paper industry is the industry which is deforesting. Let's see what is the myth, what is the reality. Paper industry is denuding forests. That's a myth. In reality, paper industry in India is agro and rural based. The agro farm forestry programs have brought over so many pulpwood plantations. We're mainly using degraded lands of farmers. This is not agricultural land, or this is not land which is being used for other purposes. This is basically degraded lands, and it's currently using 90% of the total wood requirement from social farm forestry programs. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are not a paper industry which is denuding forests. Paper industry cuts wood and disturbs the ecological balance. That's a myth again. And paper industry, for your information, ladies and gentlemen, is highly wood positive. Paper industry is putting undue strain on water and energy resources. It is significantly improved, the paper industry is significantly improved upon its environmental performance. Integrated pulp mills in India, paper and pulp mills in India, generate more than 60% of their power. And I would have to mention here, most of the paper mills have put up solar power plants, have put up windmills, wherein we generate our own power, and the excess power is being given to the grid. So we don't put unnecessary strain there. And as I was mentioning earlier, a lot of water consumption has been reduced. Currently, it's about 38 cubic meters per ton of paper. Some of the industry was cheap imports, ASEAN, and where ASEAN countries, where we have free trade agreements, zero import duties. So mills from Indonesia use India as a dumping ground. We really felt it 1 year ago, where a lot of paper were brought in from Indonesia at very, very low prices, because for them it's a matter of survival. So anything extra which they can't sell in their locations or their countries, they put it out into the open market. And India being the nearest market, they put it here. India and Colombo are very large markets where they put it out. Lower rates of import duties, much better quality of paper, ladies and gentlemen. I must mention, the paper which comes into India is of much better quality due to the raw material. Economies of scale, again, world over, paper mills have consolidated. They're making over 1 million tons per annum. India is far from that figure, what I mentioned earlier. Again, dearth of raw material. Well, the future of the paper industry, as I see it, as I was mentioning earlier, Mr. Moses, we are going through a difficult phase as of now. Packaging is doing fairly well, even in these troubled times. But the writing and printing segment is severely affected, basically because educational institutions are still closed. We don't know as to when they're going to open. They are the major drivers for this segment. Demand is not expected to improve further till such time educational institutions are opening up. As a result of which capacity utilization is very low, and major mills have gone in for reduction in wages and reduction in manpower. Well, all is not bad. I think the worst is behind us. Looking forward, we expect the demand to pick up. Our strength is our young population, as I was mentioning earlier. Education, literacy, all these things are driving the growth, and the per capita consumption is also low. So we are in for growth. Thank you. That's the end of the presentation. Mr. Tariq, can I request you to please go on with the other video, please, on social farm forestry?
Sure. One moment.
Ever since the dawn of mankind, knowledge has been celebrated and cherished, and we have gone to great extents to store and pass on knowledge to the next generation. From the Stone Age, when communication was done through cave paintings, to the rishis and siddhas of ancient India, who used leaves known as Olechuades, the Egyptians with papyrus, the scrolls of the Greeks, the Chinese invention of paper using hemp, till the present electronic age with hard drives and supercomputers. The whole world has been obsessed with preserving and passing on knowledge. Communication, education, literature, journalism, certification, currency, and all the other symbols and practices of a maturing, advanced, and elite society have one thing in common: paper. With such technological developments in the present digital climate, why do we still give such prominence to paper? The answer is simple. Paper stands as an authenticity for us from birth till death. We often forget the hardships of the people behind paper, the toll it takes on the environment and its ramifications. Are we aware that the same person who feeds us is also the same person who provides us with paper? Our farmers, they feed our stomach and help to feed our knowledge. The toils of farmers have no bound in helping the paper industry churn out thousands of tons of paper every year. This is where we at the Tamil Nadu Newsprint and Papers Limited persevere to help the farmers, the environment, and the society as a whole, an effort that has been authenticated by the government of Tamil Nadu when it pronounced the paper mill one among the most environmentally compliant paper mills in the world. It started production in 1984 with a capacity of 90,000 metric tons, utilizing bagasse as primary raw material, thereby turning waste into wealth. TNPL has now increased production to an awe-inspiring 400,000 metric tons of paper and 200,000 metric tons of paper boards, utilizing 60% of bagasse, 30% self-grown pulpwood, and 10% recycled paper.
It's the other way, right?
Yeah, it's the other video.
One moment.
The one above, yes, the one above. The one above.
The one above.
The one above. No. Sorry.
Ever since the dawn of mankind, knowledge has been celebrated and cherished, and we have gone to great extents to store.
Sorry.
Which one? This is the other one, right?
Yeah.
The bigger file.
Yes. Correct. The bigger file.
Nurturing nature. Ever since it
Yeah.
This is the one?
Yes, please. This is the one.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you.
its establishment, TNPL has been working on three fronts to serve society: commitment to the environment, upliftment of farmers, and empowering the society, with the motto geared for tomorrow. And in line with the National Forest Policy 1988, raw material used for pulp at TNPL are man-made and not from the forest. The company identified large areas that are barren, and with Tamil Nadu being a land of scanty and erratic monsoon rain, the utilization of land resources is very minimal. However, TNPL has paved the way to reap maximum benefit out of these barren lands. This is attained by the introduction of two plantation schemes in the year 2004, namely the Farm Forestry Scheme and Captive Plantation Scheme. Both schemes are economically viable, socially compatible, and people-centric.
இப்போ டிஎன்பிஎல் இந்த ஸ்கீமை கொண்டு வந்து ஒரு 15 வருஷத்துக்கு மேலே கொஞ்சம் வேகமாக விரைவாக தொழில்நுட்ப அளவில் பண்ணுறாங்க. வாழை நடுறவரோ இல்லை நெல் போடுறவரோ சோளம் போடுறவரோ வந்து இந்த இதை நம்ம பயிரை வந்து பண்ணலை கிடையாது. அது தனி, அது பாட்டில் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஒரு விவசாயி வந்து ஒரு 20 ஏக்கர் வச்சுருக்காங்கன்னா 5 ஏக்கரில் அதை பண்ணுறாரு. மீசை வந்து எம்டியாக கிடக்கிறதா தண்ணி இல்லாத மானாவாரியில் வந்து தைல மரத்தை பண்ணுறாங்க.
Farm Forestry Scheme. The Farm Forestry Scheme encourages the marginal and small farmers to cultivate pulpwood species such as eucalyptus, casuarina, melia, and subabole. TNPL provides them with quality planting material, and the seedlings, clones, are supplied at a subsidized cost at the farm gate.
சாதாரணமாக விவசாயிகள் வந்து பதிவு போட்டு எடுக்கிற நாட்டு விதை கண்ணு இதுதான் வந்து நம்ம TNPL இருந்து குளோனிங்ல கொடுக்குற நாத்துங்க. எப்படி திருப்பி பார்த்தீங்கன்னாலும் எல்லாம் ஒரே யூனிஃபார்மா இருக்கு பாருங்க. அதனோட ஹைட் பாருங்க, டிஃபரன்ஸை பாருங்க. இது எப்படி அன்இவனா இருக்கு, இது எல்லாம் ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கு பாருங்க. ரெண்டாவது வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இதுல வந்து பியூரிட்டி ஒரே ஜாதிங்க. இது வந்து என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா காய்ச்சலை வந்து தாங்கி வளரக்கூடியது. புயல் மழைக்கும் வந்து அவ்வளவு சீக்கிரம் வந்து இந்த தோப்பு படுக்காதுங்க. எந்த விவசாயியா இருந்தாலும் TNPL போயிட்டு இந்த குளோனிங் நாத்தை நீங்க தயவு செய்து வாங்கி நடுங்க. 12 இயர்ஸ்ல வந்து 3 கிராப்ஸ் நம்ம பண்ணலாங்க. குளோன் பண்ணனா நீங்க நாட்டு மரம் பண்ணீங்கன்னா 12 இயர்ஸ்ல 2 கிராப்ஸ் தான் பண்ண முடியும். ஸோ வந்து அந்த 2 கிராப்ஸுக்கும் இந்த 3 கிராப்ஸுக்கும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு ஏக்கர்ல வர அவுட்புட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இதுக்கும் அதுக்கும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 70-80% அதிகமாக இருக்குங்க நமக்கு வர வருவாய்.
A team of TNPL experts visit the farmers regularly, providing technical advices on how to tackle the adversities of nature and updates them with the latest technological advancements. Under this scheme, trees are planted in blocks or grown as windbreaks in bunds and field boundaries. Dryland farmers are encouraged to cultivate pulpwood trees, as these trees are able to thrive even in water-scarce regions. TNPL enters into an agreement with the farmers to procure the wood at the higher price of either the prevalent market price or minimum support price. Harvesting and transportation of the wood from the farm to the factory are taken up by TNPL.
பயிர் செஞ்சேன்னா 3 வருஷத்தில் வந்து எனக்கு வந்து 15 லட்ச ரூபாயிலேருந்து 20 லட்ச ரூபா வரைக்கும் கிடைக்குது. அதனால் நான் ஒரு வீடு வாங்குறதுக்கோ திருமணம் பண்ணி கொடுக்கறதுக்கோ எல்லாத்துக்கும் ஒரு மொத்தமான வருமானமாக வந்துடுது.
அவங்களே வந்து இந்த இதை வெட்டி எடுத்துக்கிறாங்க, உரிச்சு அவங்க லாரி வாடகை எல்லாம் அவங்க பொறுப்பில் எடுத்துகிட்டு போயிடுறாங்க. நமக்கு பேங்க்லேயும் பண பிரச்சனை இல்லாமல் வந்துடுது.
Captive plantation scheme. Lands belonging to the company, the government, educational institutions or any large lands are used to cultivate pulpwood. Lands that measures 50 acres is eligible for this scheme, and the land selected would be taken on a long-term lease which spans over a period of 10 to 30 years on a gross revenue sharing basis. From the time of implementation, the development of land, plantation fostering and maintenance of clones and harvesting the pulpwood are all carried out at TNPL's expense. The gross revenue is shared on a 70:30 ratio, with TNPL the former and the landowner the latter.
மொத்தம் 400 ஒரு 250 650 டன் அறுவடை பண்ணியிருக்கேன். அது முதல் கொடுக்குறது 1800 ரூபாய்க்கு கொடுத்தேன். இப்போ TNPL வந்து உரிச்ச கட்டைக்கு 5000 ரூபா கொடுக்குறாங்க. லாரி வாடகை இதெல்லாம் போக நமக்கு 3500 ரூபா பக்கத்தில் கிடைக்குது. இது மாதிரி ஒரு ஒன்றுக்காகாத காடு. இங்கே யாருமே வந்து காவல் காக்க வேண்டாம். இந்த இடத்துல நாம் வந்து ஒரு விவசாயத்தை நம்ம அறுவடை செய்யறோம்னா இது நமக்கு ரொம்ப ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய வரப்பிரசாதம்.
Varying climatic conditions, soil types, fluctuating water availability and diminishing land availability pose the challenge of cultivating more trees in lesser space. Thus, we at TNPL, with our expert team of soil scientists, microbiologists and ecologists, stream our knowledge together to arrive at solutions that are ecologically compliant and lucrative for our farmers. Tamil Nadu Newsprint and Papers Limited houses one of India's most advanced biotech labs to propagate new superior clones through tissue culture technology. The saplings produced in the Clonal Propagation and Research Center are put to regressive quality testing before being dispatched to the fields. TNPL helps pulpwood growers by arranging machinery and manpower during the process of harvesting, debarking and transportation to the mill at a reasonable cost.
தமிழ்நாடு காகித ஆலையில் ஒரு 15 ஆண்டுகளாக ஒப்பந்தாரராக இருக்கிறேன். இந்த மிஷினரி எல்லாம் எங்களுக்கு வந்து மில்லிலேருந்தே 100 பவர் ஸ்டார் மிஷின் ஒரு 6-7 மிஷின் எல்லா கான்ட்ராக்டர்களுக்கும் வாங்கி கொடுத்து மிஷினரி வந்த பிறகு ஒரு நாளைக்கு நான் 150 டன் சப்ளை பண்ணக்கூடிய கெப்பாசிட்டி இருக்குது.
Till date, these schemes have been implemented over 125,000 acres involving more than 24,700 farmers. The employment generated by these schemes is astonishing, and till date, about 4 million man-days have been employed to develop and maintain plantations. Through these pro-afforestation schemes, TNPL has been able to obtain 1 million metric tons of pulpwood directly from farmers, generate employment for the landless and financially weak, TNPL has further planned for the mill expansion program. The new state-of-the-art wood pulp mill will be commissioned in the year 2021. After the commencement of the new mill, the total pulpwood requirement will be 12 lakh metric tons per year. Thus, TNPL has planned to increase 25,000 acres of plantation per year over and above the existing plantations. With its trajectory pointing upwards, the scope for pulpwood plantation is on the rise and thus provides farmers with a sustainable market and generates employment for over 1 million man days every year. Being geared for tomorrow begins with today. For what we sow today is what we reap tomorrow. Tamil Nadu Newsprint and Papers Limited invites you to join this journey of success that is committed to the environment, uplifts the lives of farmers, and paves the way to empower the society as a whole.
Excellent.
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I also wish to mention, I forgot in the beginning when Gopi, or, I think, I'm not too sure, Mr. Moses asked, or somebody asked, how many of the Annamalayan are there in TNPL? One of my colleagues who works very closely with me, Mr. Kalyana Sundaram, he's on, he's on today, he's with us today. He's also from Annamalai. I think he's in the, he's from the 1892 batch. And Rajshekar was, are you okay now to talk, Rajshekar? Can you tell us how many more are there? You'll have to unmute yourself, Rajshekar. No. Rajshekar can't hear you. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Rajshekar.
Sorry, Rajshekar, can't hear you. Okay, Mr. Tariq.
Yes, Kasi, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. It was quite astonishing to see how the TNPL has been functioning end to end, and to put an icing on the cake, the forestry scheme. You've touched the root of our country. Now, I invite our core committee member, Mr. Sivaraman, who runs an automation business, to take the questions from the participants and moderate with you. And incidentally, Shivaraman also is an ex-TNPL person. Over to Shivaraman.
Good afternoon, sir. I think Rajshekar sir is now unmuted. I think you can have a word, sir. Rajshekar,
Can't hear you, Rajshekar.
We cannot hear you. Sir, we cannot hear you.
He's unmuted.
Yeah. He's unmuted. I could see that, but unfortunately, we cannot hear him. Right. Okay. Thank you, Kasi sir. It was a very good presentation, and it was a privilege and honor for me to listen to your detailed process session. And when you are showing the video, it was also pride for me to I've worked on the floor of PM1 and 2 during the year 2002 and 5. So it was very emotional too. So I'll quickly run to the question and answer session. The first question was asked by Mr. Sita Raman. What is bond paper, JK bond, for example?
Okay, bond paper. First of all, thank you, Mr. Sivaraman. Thank you. Thank you for touching upon that. It was nostalgic for you. We would, all of us would like to visit these mills where we worked, whether it is paper or any other industry. Like to go back to the places where we were working, associated with them at some point in time in our life. So thank you very much for that. Well, bond paper, it's again another type of paper which is used for letter pads. So it has a lot of strength in it, and it has something called dandy mark. It's called a dandy mark. It's called a mark which is imbibed during the paper making process. As I was talking to you about the press part where a lot of water is removed, you have a dandy roll which is placed there, which transfers the mark onto this particular grade of paper. But to manufacture this grade of paper, the paper machine should run at comparatively lower speeds than modern day machines. So, basically bond paper is manufactured with the dandy mark is manufactured in machines which are of smaller capacity, which run at slower speeds, and primarily used for stationery, primarily used for, your letter pads and exclusive stationery. That's what is about bond paper.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think Sitaraman sir would have got the answer. Now, question asked by Mr. Babu. The question was not clear to me. Let me read it. Why for printing INR we are importing papers? How it differ from others? Do you get the question, sir?
No, sir. Can you repeat that again? I'll try
Yeah.
to see what I can understand.
Why for printing INR we importing papers? How it differ from others?
Okay. I think I got it. I think he's talking about currency for
Okay.
printing. For printing the currency, why cannot we manufacture paper in India? Why are we
Okay.
dependent on no imported raw material? Mr. Babu, as I was mentioning earlier, softwood is not manufactured in India. Softwood has to be imported because of our climatic conditions. We do not India does not manufacture softwood, and most of the currencies are printed on a paper which is very, very strong. There are many kinds of security features which are imbibed in it. In fact, I would request you to look at the Malaysian currency, wherein you will see a transparent piece in the currency. Right in the middle of the currency, you will see a transparent piece. So, which means this goes through a lot of post-production process, for which the base paper needs to be strong. In our Indian currency, also you will see a metallic line which is on and off, which is there during in the width of the paper. That also is embedded. So all this embedding needs a lot of different kind of processes by which the paper is required to be strong. So this kind of strong paper is available only from softwood, which is manufactured abroad. I think I've answered your question to
Yes,
the
sir.
best of my knowledge, Mr. Babu.
Yes, sir. I think the question is answered. Next question is asked by Mr. Raghavan. Understand that the release paper for PVC leather cloth manufacturing is fully imported. Can TNPL make it?
No, Mr. Raghavan, the answer is no. The reason is TNPL uses a lot of bagasse, and I did not mention about bagasse, which I think I'll take this opportunity to talk about bagasse. Bagasse is nothing but sugarcane residue. So when we talk about sugarcane residue, most of the paper mills located in and around this particular area, we they manufacture sugarcane, and they use the residue to as feed for their boilers. So we saw an opportunity, and then we said we got into an arrangement with these sugar mills. TNPL has installed boilers in their locations, and then we run the boilers and give them steam and take back bagasse in a barter arrangement. This bagasse, because of its fiber, because of the nature of its fiber, it's being used to make paper. With bagasse being the major raw material, there are limitations on the kind of papers that we can make, Mr. Raghavan.
Thank you, sir. In fact, I also wanted to tell you that by even increasing 0.1 percentage of, by reducing 0.1 percentage of bagasse, there will be big questions asked in stock preparation. I have been there in the floor, and it's not an easy task. So people who have worked in paper machine know TNPL as a very customized solution to make bagasse, which is a recycle from sugarcane. Actually, it's a waste from sugarcane. 60 to 65% is waste from the sugarcane.
Correct, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for detailing about it. Next question is by Mr. Balamurugan. What is the scope for biodegradable polylactic acid, PLA paper coatings?
Sir, Mr. Balamurugan, you know very well what we are going through. Tamil Nadu government has banned plastics, so we're going through the process of getting it replaced. And PLA is quite expensive in comparison to polyethylene, which is currently being used. And in fact, you've been a part of the trials which have been conducted in our Modipati unit. So we are only hoping that things will improve. Cost will enable us to make sure that this becomes a reality, but it's still a dream. At this point in time, it's a dream, Mr. Balamurgan.
Right. Thank you, sir. I think next was by Mr. Rohit Joshi. I think it was a suggestion. It might possible India's per capita consumption of paper is very less compared to worldwide because they consume more paper in morning time.
Well, yes, tissue paper. In India, if you see the napkins, basically it's two mills who manufacture tissue paper. It's Century and Orient. Century's tissue is much, much better than Orient's tissue. The softness of the tissue is very, very important. So, being a tropical country, we are used to using more of water in our daily routine. So, whereas if it is the Baltic or if it is in the cold countries, they use a lot of tissue. So that's basically it. But not only tissue, the per capita consumption will grow up with education and will go up with packaging also.
Yeah, got it, sir. Thank you. The next question is by Mr. Natarajan. How much water do you consume every day?
As I was mentioning earlier in the presentation, sir, for paper making, only in the paper machine, the water consumption is close to 8 or 9 cubic meters, which is what is there today, which was much larger earlier. We have come down to that level, but in the entire paper mill, if you see, it's at about 32 cubic meters per ton of paper. Mr. Shivraman, you can add if the numbers are changing. You can add.
Sir, it has been a while for me, 15 years down the line, so I don't remember exactly the figure. But I know that the paper machine takes the huger volume and pulp mill takes the huge volume of water consumption. Yeah. Actually, to add upon, if you see in the head box, the ratio is 1:99. If I'm right, like 1 is the pulp and 99 is the water ratio.
Water, yes.
Next, the question is by Mr. Ilaya Perumal. What is the role of metallurgist in pulp and paper industry?
What is the role of
metallurgist in pulp and paper industry?
Calcium carbonate. I think metallurgists, when you mean Mr. Ilaya Perumal, metallurgists, people who are handling solid metals, is that what you mean? Can you unmute yourself?
Tariq sir, can you unmute Mr. Ilaya Perumal?
Yeah, I'm doing it. In his Mr. Ilaya Perumal, can you?
Yes, sir. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
I am a metallurgist with a background on corrosion of process equipments, including pulp and paper. Your digester is highly caustic and your bleaching agent is a lot of chlorides and acidic. So is there any scope of metallurgists to reduce problems related to equipments?
Sure, sir.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah,
is my question clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are able to hear me and see me also?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Mr.
Yes, sir.
We can see the top portion of your face, and we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And now it's better.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Full faces in view.
Yeah.
And yes, sir, we do have challenges, as you mentioned, in our continuous process digesters and all these places. Yes, metallurgy plays a very, very important role, and all these things happen in the designing stage, wherein the pulp mill is put up or wherein the paper machine is put up. So there is a dearth of large consultants, and I think metallurgy definitely will play a major role. Currently, it's only Seshasai, SPB consultants who are well known in this part of the country, in the southern part of the country. So your inputs definitely will help in cost savings, sir.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Next question, sir. Thank you, Ilaya Perumal sir. There are questions we need to answer one by one. Thank you, sir. Next question is a big question, Kasi sir. I'll read it now. Dear Mr. Kasi, since TNPL is cash-rich company, and why not they can do value-added products of diversified to own packaging and printing division, own branded products in food grade packing with latest technology. As COVID forced packaging food is future as will be a benchmark to be user of their own base products, which is strength of ITC. And we dream TNPL venture will be good for the industry as best professional managed successful company of TN state. Please share your views. Karthik Paper Products. Question is from Mr. Senthil Karthik Paper Products.
Thank you, Senthil, for asking this question. I would choose not to respond to it in this forum. We're talking about, I am employed, as you all know, a lot of my team members and me are employed in a private, sorry, not in a private sector enterprise. We are in a government mill, and there are certain limitations on what we can say in public forums. So please do excuse me for not replying it straight, but then I will touch upon a little bit on your query. We stay focused on paper making. We stay focused on paper making. That's our core. So we'll be there in that core competency. Yeah, Mr. Sivaraman, can we move on, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next question is by Mr. Nagarajan. What are the critical parameters when we quote in government e-market place? Golden parameters.
Well, sorry, can you repeat the name? Who asked
Mr. Nagarajan, sir. He is a GM in Neyveli Lignite Corporation.
CGM in NLC.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Nagarajan, sir, the major points that we need to keep in mind when we quote in these government tenders are, one is the experience which they ask for. The participant should have the relevant experience and should have the relevant expertise. The government does not want to be left high and dry. Somebody participates in a tender, he wins a tender, and then he should not be a non-performing person. Then the process gets elongated. As you know, you've handled materials. In case somebody fails to supply, then the process has to go through again. So there is a delay of about 6 months or so, and audit questions are raised, and none of us can answer them. So before awarding a tender, the committee goes through a lot of questions which they ask themselves. They have to be satisfied, and then they proceed.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Nagarajan, sir. I think there is one more question from him. In other words, what are better values for a particular GSM in writing and printing paper?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? What are the better?
In other words, what are the better values for a particular GSM in writing and printing papers? He's asking, apart from GSM, is there any better values with respect to the paper?
Opacity is there, smoothness is there, ink receptibility. These are all things which determine how a paper performs.
Nagaraj sir, just to add upon, I can answer, sir. Kasi sir,
please.
Yeah, sir. Just to add upon, there is a quality control system in the paper deck after the calendar area, where the GSM, the opacity, the moisture content, everything is measured, and these are all the key parameters to decide the quality of the papers. So there is a dedicated a quality control system machine which run all along the deck of 6 meters to measure the quality of the paper. I think Nagaraj sir, you got the answer. Kasi sir, is it okay?
Yeah, that's
go
fine.
To the next question. Yeah. Next question is by Mr. Pratap. Sir, I heard from industry that Finland is one of the leading paper manufacturer and used extensively in food packing. Do we make such high value application papers in India? Where do we stand when compared to global leaders?
Very correct, sir. Scandinavian countries, Finland is one of the largest countries where paper is manufactured. You saw some of the international names which I put up in the presentation. Many of those mills are located in Finland. They use a lot of softwood, which is used for this kind of packaging applications. Indian mills, ITC, Century, JK Paper, and then TNPL, we are all into packaging. The pioneer in India is ITC, and these kind of food grade packaging materials are being manufactured in India, but by using softwood fiber. Softwood fiber imparts a lot of strength to the product. So we do manufacture of these grades in India. But the versatility in manufacturing is not available yet in India to the extent which is available in Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Tariq sir, there are so many questions. Do we have time to continue the Q&A session?
Sivaram, கேக்குதா நான் பேசுறது?
Yes, Rajshekar sir.
Okay then.
Now
Okay.
at last we can hear you. Please go ahead, sir. And David, sir, we will come to you, sir. I know there is
Mr.
questions.
Moses, 1 minute, please. Rajshekar, go on, please.
Yeah, we thought of telling about our alumni in TNPL.
Yes.
Sir, good morning. First of all, I am Rajshekar. I was with the TNPL for 21 years and I am happy to hear about my company from my senior once again. So earlier as told during 91 we are around 40 people are there. Even the head of the plant was from our Annamalayan, Mr. Muthuchellappan, and now Shivaram, we all are there. Now around 8 people are there, sir.
Okay.
Now we are happy that once again our marketing head is from our Annamalayan.
Come on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Moses, sir, Tariq, sir, can you please unmute Moses, sir?
Shiva, if you have questions, 2 more questions you can take up.
Yeah, that's what, sir. Moses, sir, is ex-paper industry, so it's better to hear a question from him.
Sure. Moses, sir, can you please unmute yourself? I have opened the mic for you. Mr. Moses?
Mr. Moses, you'll have to unmute yourself, sir. We are not able to hear you, sir. Yeah.
I am happy to note Mr. Kasi Viswanathan was mentioning that Tamil Nadu newsprint is making profit. I also had some problems faced by the paper industry. One is the imports, another one is the raw material availability. And considering all those things, whether there is a scope for putting another plant in Tiruvarur or that side by this cooperative sugar mills.
Mr. Moses,
similar to your plant, is there any scope for putting a plant?
No, Mr. Moses, we have studied the topography, and that is a Kaveri Delta belt. So putting up an industry there is not advisable, which is why we have located the plant near Trichy, which is in a very, very barren, unindustrialized area near Trichy, Manapparai, where it is completely barren, where we chose that land, and then we put up a new mill there, which is making packaging boards. And there is a planned expansion for another paper mill in the same location. It is not far away from Tiruvarur, but this is a location which would be ideal, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Moses, sir. I think Kasi sir has answered your question. Tariq sir, can I take a couple of more or?
Yeah, you questions? Can. Mr. Nagarajan also wants to ask some question directly.
Yeah, you can unmute him, sir.
Yeah, I have unmuted him. He may ask a question.
Nagaraj sir, you have to unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, he is unmuted.
Good afternoon, Kasi ji.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, one of the tender what I have done consultancy for the e-marketplace, where one customer, one buyer has indicated as most of the parameters like opacity, only brightness given in a full value. Other things they are more than 90, more than 80. If you take the tensile strength, cross direction, mission direction, TS strength, mission direction, cross direction, smoothness on both sides, and one more thing that is that 1 minute cup test, everything indicated as more. When I search in the marketplace, last week I am struggling to find out a suitable.
Sir, most of these specifications are tailor-made to suit certain applications, sir.
Okay.
Whereas if you see the paper mills, most of our paper mills, we have websites today, technology has improved. And all of us have given the specifications of our products in the website itself. So you can go to the website, download a particular, open up a particular website of a paper mill, and then see the specifications, view the specifications of the particular grade on the website, and then contact them. So that will be ideal. But if in case, I don't know if I can say this, if in case somebody is tailor-made it, they may have.
Yes, it is to happen. I agree. Because to agree, But if it is tailor-made, if it is a standard specification, what is the problem I faced is everything is only one specification, only 80 GSM is the standard in that. 5 dreams is there.
Yeah, there are tolerances, sir. There are paper industry tolerances, plus or minus. There are some tolerances. It has to be within those tolerances.
But the problem in the e-marketplace is if they given the specific line, I cannot deviate from that. Number two, after this, out of 13 parameters or 14 parameters for the golden parameters in the paper industry, they have only 3 GSM, number of sheets per ream, and only the brightness. All others are more. If I take the more, right from 90 to 105, there are about 18, 19 specifications, 90.01, 19.9, 19.03, like that. So that
So that is, which means there's a lot of room to play around. Anybody can fit into that. When anybody can fit into that, the prices can be anywhere. Can be 1 rupee, can be 10 rupees, can be 100 rupees. A lot of game goes on in between there. I don't want to delve into that, sir.
Yeah, I agree. Since I also worked in public sector, I know the difficulty. One more thing. If I go to the price, if even it is an ATC or any authorized certificate price, when I go to the tender in the pricing, I could not match the price.
It will be very difficult, sir. This is a game which can be played by the industry veterans. Anybody getting
agreed.
You have a problem.
Offline எடுத்துக்கோங்க questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to know since they're on the website, I can go into that.
ஆமா
Thank
நீங்க
you, sir. Thank you.
டைரக்டா காசிக்கு ஆஃப்லைன்ல எடுத்துறீங்க.
Thank you. I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you, Nagaraj sir. There are 3 more questions.
Mr. Moses still has a question. Can we accommodate him, please?
Yeah. Tariq sir.
Yeah. You need to. Sir, Moses, கேளுங்க.
My second question is, say, can I suggest to Modi to put 2 or 3 digesters in Punjab, and so that whatever they are burning can be digested and given to a centralized paper mill.
Sure, Mr. Moses, but there are already paper mills in Punjab which use wheat straw. Trident, Kanna, there are a lot of paper mills there. And farmers have to collect them and then give it to them. Instead of collecting and giving, they prefer to burn the stubble. That is what is creating so much pollution in Delhi. I completely agree with you, but I don't think that's physically, that's feasible. They'll have to think. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, 3 more questions. We will quickly go through it. One question is from Mr. Rajaram. How do you forecast in India the growth of paper industry in next 5 years, and which type of paper will be the driver?
Packaging industry will be growing, sir. To answer the question, packaging industry growth will be pretty good. And but for this COVID, where this is acted like a speed breaker for the writing and printing segment. But for COVID, the writing and printing growth would also have been good. But in the next 5 years, I think more growth will be there in the packaging industry. Paper industry will grow, no doubt about it, sir. We saw the headroom. Our per capita consumption is only around 13, 14. There's a lot of headroom and a lot of growth in the paper industry, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. The next question is, what kind of innovation is happening in the paper industry, especially TNPL?
Well, sir, a lot of innovation is happening in terms of the paper industry as such. If you see, yesterday I was reading Paper Age, which is sorry for that disturbance, which is an international magazine. Coca-Cola is coming out with a paper bottle. I repeat, Coca-Cola is coming out with a paper bottle. Paper is hygroscopic, so it absorbs a lot of moisture. Definitely, there has to be a barrier between the liquid it holds and the bottle. So it has to be there has to be some sort of a plastic. Though if it is a thin film, the barrier has to be there. But Coca-Cola is doing it, and we all saw some months earlier. Those of our connoisseurs will know the Black Label has come out with a paper bottle. Again, there would be a barrier coating in between. So a lot of innovations are taking place. And the innovation in TNPL which is taking place is the kind of water usage, water consumption. We are reducing the water consumption, and whatever water that is being consumed in the factory after treating, we are giving it to the farmers nearby, wherein they use the water to farm their farms, to use cultivate their farms. Sorry. And the other thing which is done, TNPL, as I was talking about the new mill at Mondipatti, which is 4 years old. What we did was we cultivated more than 680,000 varieties of plants in and around the location there. As a result, 4 years down the line, they've all grown. அது ஒரு சோலை மாறி மாறி இருக்குங்க. That is the ambient temperature in that area has come down. Water table has improved. This is an innovation, I would say, wherein a barren land has been converted, and this goes on to show that what can be done, over persistent follow-ups and proper uh, proper way things are done. Is that all? That's all, Mr. Sivaraman.
Yeah, thank you, sir. The next question is by Mr. Sri Kumar. Please give it. Is it economical to use carbonless paper in office use?
Carbonless paper is an in thing today, sir, but that has also got moved out today. Dot matrix printers, how they got phased out. Similarly, carbonless papers also have got phased out, because we print out many more copies now. Definitely, it is economical to use carbonless papers, but over a period of time, they tend to vanish. The letters that are printed on them tend to vanish. So that you need to keep in mind before you move to carbonless papers, because mainly you will use them for record keeping. What is the point in having a sheet of paper like our ECG? When we go and take an ECG, it's on a thermal paper. If we don't keep it, if you don't photocopy it and keep it, then it's gone. Likewise, anything which is printed on thermal paper, anything which is printed on this kind of papers, they tend to vanish unless you take a photocopy and keep.
Yeah, the final question, sir. If per capita is 13 rupees per kg in India, approximate demand is 17.55 million tons. As per sheet data presented, what was the cumulative product capacity of top 15 players?
Sir, I'll if you look at the production installed capacities, we are somewhere around 40 installed capacities in India. India, basically, the paper industry is fragmented, sir. We have the unorganized sector, we have the organized sector. We have all small paper mills. If you look at Vapi, for example, there are more than 150 paper mills there, all small paper mills. Each paper mill will be about 30, 40 tons capacity and all that. Similarly, we have the Pollachi belt, like I said. There are a lot of small belts where a lot of these paper mills are located. You look at Meerut in UP, huge number. You look at, again, Punjab, lot of paper mills, small paper mills. So it is very difficult to classify, or it is very difficult to find out that this is the installed capacity in India. So we look at the A grade paper mills where the installed capacity is more than 40 million tons collectively.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We can end up the Q&A session. Thank you very much, sir. It was a very great session, personally for me too. And the farm forestry scheme was new to me, which I was not aware, because I was always having a feeling that still we are using 30-40% of forest trees. But this farm forestry scheme is going to be very useful for farmers. Right? As one of the person is saying that only 5 acres is using out of 20 acres. So 15
Exactly,
acres has been used for farm forestry scheme. Is a beautiful scheme where the earning is gone, is given both to the farmer as well as to the company. So I think that is one of the great innovation scheme. Thank you very much, sir. It was a very great presentation. Yeah, over to you, Tariq, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shivaraman.
Thanks, Shiva. Kasi, there are some people from your industry and your own, colleagues who have joined today.
Yes.
We'll give a few minutes to introduce themselves, so you can probably invite one by one. What
Yeah.
I will do is I will have the facility for everyone to unmute themselves. When it is required, they can unmute, and after they speak, they can mute themselves so that the disturbance won't be there. So over to you, Kasi. After that, if you have time, our own members also would like to introduce themselves.
Well, Mr. Tariq, I have enough time today. I'm really overwhelmed. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and it's very nostalgic. Thank you very much to have met everybody. I can see number of participants. I think it went up to 129 or so.
Correct.
I don't know.
Correct.
Currently, it's about 76, 77. It's good. Thank you everyone for taking time off. Well, I would request my team members to kindly adhere to the norms. Please unmute yourselves one by one, and then you can talk a few words about the company, please, only about the company, and then mute yourself so that the other people can move on. Gopi, yes. Tell me, Gopi.
Vasik is here from Oman. Vasik wants to leave, so I thought I'll ask Vasik to say a few words before you start the other one.
Sure.
Please.
Vasik, unmute yourself. Vasik, sorry, can you unmute him, Vasik?
Yeah, I have enabled Gopi. He can unmute.
Yes, Gopi.
Yeah, Vasik, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kasi.
Morning, Vasik. Thank you for taking time off, Vasik.
Unfortunately, it's a working day for me. In the Middle East, today is the first day. Anyway, what I did, I put on both this one and parallelly I was attending few meetings as well. Anyway, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Vasik Ahmed. I belong to, again, 84-88 batch. Proud to say I'm Kasi's classmate. But I used to sit in the back bench, not next to Kasi.
It is the back
Also
benches
proud
were
to
shining
say,
today, Vasik.
and right now I am in Oman, Muscat. I am in PDO. The PDO is called Petroleum Development of Oman, basically oil and gas industry.
Go on, Vasik.
Yeah, yes, you can hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. What else you want? Right now, I'm heading the process optimization team, basically supporting the gas plants. We are processing natural gas and sending it to the pipeline, and then also used for LNG.
Just help our Anam Alliance, whoever can get an opportunity there to work.
Yeah, I'm working with Vasik. I'm working with Vasik on a couple of proposals.
Good. Great.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Okay, Kasi, bye.
Thank you, CK. Thank you, Vasik.
Thanks, CK.
Okay, bye. Nice presentation, Kasi.
Thank you, CK. All right. Okay. Can we proceed, Gopi?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I would suggest TNPL team members to talk about only TNPL, and as Mr. Tariq said, you want me to call you by name, or you'll organize it?
I think that will be better.
That'll be better. Okay, fine. Can we have Mr. Kalyan Sundaram, please? Mr. Kalyan Sundaram is General Manager Marketing, and we work together. He handles the paperboard division, sitting in our corporate office here in Chennai. Kalyan, you'll have to unmute yourself, Kalyan. No, you'll have to unmute yourself, Kalyan.
Now
yes.
I am.
Yeah.
Hope I am audible now, sir.
Yes.
You are.
Yeah. Good morning to all of you, sir. Thanks, sir. Thanks, Mr. Kasi, actually, for the introduction. Nice introduction about me, and it is a real pleasure to work with one of my own. University student and my senior, Mr. Kasi, and because being a senior person, actually, maybe the frequency level is very good, and maybe it makes us so comfortable in the office. Just about Mr. Kasi, and I'm really happy to work with TNPL also, because earlier I've been working with other paper industries, as well as I started my career with South India Viscose. From Namala University, actually, I went through campus interview. Actually, I got an opportunity to work with South India Viscose, and there I had been to Viscose, Seshasai Viscose, IP, along with Mr. Kasi, and then and come down to, TNPL. So it is a good journey for me, and it is a real pleasure for me to meet all of you. Actually, this is my first experience as far as this meeting is concerned. Actually, it was. I was invited to Mr. Kazi, and I was very happy actually. So from now onwards, maybe I will be in regular touch with you all, and it's a good experience as far as mine is concerned with TNPL. I've been initially taking care of paper, and now I've been taking care of. Packaging division, our own packaging division, as Mr. Kasi was telling about our modular unit. From there, actually, maybe we are catering to the, all the markets of the country actually, and we do some, small percentage of exports also. So we do, I'm happy. You can say that maybe, we have come a long way. The last 3-4 years, actually, we have come a long way. Actually, initially we had some teething issues and all. Now the product is much stabilized and is very much accepted by the customers. And the coming days, actually, we are also going for some expansion. So you will see, you will hear a lot about TNPL. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kalyan. Can we have Mr. Chadda Sarveswara Rao, please? He heads our Hyderabad and Telangana, the Andhra and Telangana regions, heading the Hyderabad branch. Mr. C.S. Rao, please.
Hey, good morning, sir. Good morning to everybody. Kasi sir, very particularly, the presentation is very good. We really get the picture of the paper industry in a nice manner. And coming to myself, I have been working with paper for the last 30 years, coming from AP paper mills, then Mufindi paper mills, Tanzania, thereafter to TNPL for the last 11 years. Now presently taking care of Unit 1 and Unit 2. It's really a pleasure working with a nice team and a very professional team. We have been trying our level best to contribute whatever the best possible to the paper industry. Of course, paper, we are facing a little bit tough. We are very much comfortable, mostly over a period of next another 2-3 months. The sector is likely to open up very soon. Thank you very much. All the best to everybody and have a good day.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rao. Mr. Praveen Jain, are you available? Mr. Praveen Jain heads our Western region. Mr. Praveen Jain? Okay, Mr. Nandi, are you available? Mr. Nandi heads our Karnataka region. Well, I think he's also left. Mr. Rajiv Bhattacharjee? Nandi is there. Nandi is there. Nandi, can we see your face? Your face is dark. Can you face the light, please? Yeah, Nandi, can you carry on?
Hello.
Yes,
good morning, everybody. Good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody. I'm Prasanjit Nandi. I'm in Bangalore, heading the Karnataka branch. Yeah, it's a nice experience in TNPL. Well, I started my career with Orient, followed by Sirpur West Coast, and finally in TNPL from 2010 onwards. Nice professional company. And the present situation due to COVID, yes, with education institutions and all, we are facing the problem. But come January, things looks to be open up.
God willing.
Yeah.
And with packaging is moving well. So with a good support from Mr. Kashi and Mr. Kalyan, I think we should be moving up in the coming days. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nandi. Rajiv heads our Eastern region. He sits in Calcutta. Rajiv Bhattacharjee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am a very new entrant into TNPL family. Just been here for 3 years now. We've been into various industries previously, but currently heading the Eastern zone. Two very clear things. One, this is the first time that I'm experiencing working in a PSU with professional outlook. That is something which is very, very positive for the way that I have coming from various private firms and companies that we have worked in. The second thing is that one point which I would think, apart from this COVID being situation which is going to teach us a lot of ways of how to react to a market situation. But going forward in the next 5 years, I only look at the possibility of East market opening up for every industry, irrespective of it being paper or automobile or IT or anything, because this is the only industry which will be providing you, or only area in the country which will be providing, having the options of providing better prospects by way of every facility is possible, because very undeveloped or unfocused point within the country. So this is what I can say, and it was a good presentation, good knowing most of you from the Annamalai University, seniors, very good people, this one to know, and hopefully we will be interacting more in certain forums.
Thank you, Rajiv.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have Arun Kumar, please? Arun Kumar heads our Kerala branch. Arun Kumar, are you there? Arun? Well, can we have Mr. Shivadanu, please? Shivadanu, Mr. Shivadanu heads the Tamil Nadu region, which contributes maximum to the company, our home market. Mr. Shivadanu, you'll have to unmute yourself, please.
Am I audible, sir? Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, yeah.
Very good morning to everybody. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity for having let me in to join join this, kind of legendary fraternity of the Annamalai University. Kind of around the globe, across the globe, everybody, wherever you go, you find, kind of Annamalaians, kind of who passed out. My brother-in-law sits in San Jose, and recently I was there and attending his daughter's wedding. I had an opportunity to interact with some of your colleagues who were there. I'm Shivadanu. I hail from the southernmost town of the country, Nagarkoil, which is Kanyakumari district. In terms of aging, I am as old as Rajiv. I'm about 3.5 years old in TNPL. As Rajiv said, the transition from the private sector to public sector, the enterprise, kind of, it was a bit skeptical, but the transition was so smooth. And the credit goes to the entire marketing team who made life comfortable there and ensured that, kind of, we catch up with the terms and conditions, norms, and lay down by the rules of the book. The journey has been good so far. And it can definitely be said that we cannot, kind of adjust the wind speed, but definitely the sails can be adjusted for the ship as long as the captain of the ship is, firm. And we have a good captain at the top, and he's ensuring all of our own safety. And it's been a history for TNPL, kind of. We had created, he created some records in the last couple of years, and he's continuing on the journey. And it's astonishing, kind of. I'm fortunate to have worked with him, known him. And as a boss, he's tough, no doubt on that. But as a person, he's very compassionate and affable. And thank you, sir, for that. Thank you for your support, and thank you for letting me join this meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Shivadanu. Thank you for those kind words.
Yeah.
Can we have Mr. Jafar Ali? He works very closely with me.
Sir, good morning, sir. Good morning, all. This is my pleasure to this webinar, and I came to know what are the new things I have to be learned. I have joined in 2015. Before joining this company, I am also in the stage because of paper we are getting more risks. But after that, I come to know I have to agree that it's not the truth. It's only a myth, as sir presented in his presentation. When speaking about the TNPL environment is very good, and we just came to know what is the innovation this company is making, how from the waste to wealth, how we can make wealth from the waste, starting from the cement or starting from the bagasse. Bagasse may be treated as a wasted one for the sugarcane manufacturer, everybody's, but it can be converted into paper and make it as a big wealth. Now the company is developed because of the innovation started from that year. So it's a great pleasure to work in the TNPL, and it's my pleasure to attend this webinar also. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jafar. Thank you very much. You have touched upon a point which I missed. I will probably talk about it a little later, gentlemen. Can we have Mr. Kumaresan, please? Mr. Kumaresan works with us in our board division based out of Tirupur. Mr. Kumaresan? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kumaresan. Kumaresan, I think your connectivity is not okay.
Sir?
Yeah, I think his connection is little.
Kumaresan, we'll talk to you once your connection improves. I've
Sir?
seen some more names. Can you mute yourself, please? We'll come back to you. Mr. D.N. Murthy, can I call upon Mr. D.N. Murthy to say a few words? Mr. Murthy has retired from TNPL. He was heading the sales and marketing function. He's joined us. Mr. Murthy.
Hi, Kashi.
Hi, hi.
I've been seeing through the whole presentation. Great work, great team spirit. Everybody is doing great. All the best to you all.
I would request you to allow us to see you, Mr. Murthy.
That cannot be done right now because I'm working incognito.
All right, okay.
See, once you retire, you go off the scene. Okay. Fine. All the best. I've been seeing it's a nice presentation. And more important is, I think you are connecting up with your alumni. That's the most important thing. That way, you tend to involve other youngsters also and create a forum for interaction. That's extremely good because I see it. You have all given your time. More than that, what you have learned from each other, I think you are giving a platform for the juniors too. Excellent work. Keep it up. Of course, nothing to say about TNPL. TNPL is a good organization. People are hardworking. And the bell curve is same whether in private sector or public sector. It's same everywhere. And there's a good organization. And it's nice to see you going live. And many more things, let it happen. And I am sure that a time will come after 6 months or so, post-COVID period, when there will be greater smiles on everybody's face. All the best to you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murthy. Thank you for those kind words. Can I have Mr. Dudley Tambinayagam, who had joined us from Colombo? Mr. Dudley, you're still there?
I think
he's left.
I think he's left.
Okay, then I would call upon Mr. Pandian. Mr. M.A. Pandian is our dealer. He handles both ITC as well as TNPL and other, the Pollachi-based mill. Mr. Pandian, are you there? I think
M.A. Pandian, right?
M.A. Pandian, yeah.
Yeah, he spoke to me this morning, Kasi.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine. All right. Let's move on. Mr. Venkat, are you there? I can see. I saw Mr. Venkat. Mr. Venkat, yeah, there you there. Mr. Venkat
I'm sorry, I'm right now in Paris, but I've been listening to all what you've been saying. It's been an excellent morning. I think a Sunday morning purposefully spent, sir. I wish all the participants a great Sunday ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Venkat. Thank you very much. He's also our agent, one of the pioneers in the paper industry. And well, who else? Mr. Muthuraman? Mr. Muthuraman, please.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's just unmuted himself. Mr. Muthuraman?
I think he's unmuted, but he's...
Yeah. Then Mr. Kasati. Karthi.
Yeah. Kantilal is there. Yeah. He's raising his hand.
Kantilal. Yeah. Kantilal is again our dealer from Bangalore. Mr. Kantilal.
It's really great to see that now so many of your associates have...
They've taken time off, valuable time off, and then come on.
That's
then Mr. Kasati, please. Mr. Kaseti. Okay. And then Mr. Sokalingam. Mr. Sokalingam is our agent in Coimbatore. Mr. Sokalingam. Hello. Mr. Bijender Sharma. Mr. Bijender Sharma, are you there? No.
Vipin Jain, sir.
Vipin Jain.
Yeah.
Mr. Vipin Jain.
No, I think his audio is not connected. Vipin Jain.
Okay. Mr. Sumit Agarwal.
Sumit Agarwal is not there.
Not there. All right. Okay, sir. I think that's about it. Anybody who I have left out? Well, friends are there. Paul, a lot of friends are there. And I mean, I leave it to you, Mr. Tariq. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing our TNPL team to participate. Thank you so much.